We're in a fight for the survival of our nation and civilization itself. We are really in a fight. This is the most important election we've ever had, in my opinion. We gave you the biggest tax decrease in the history of our country, and we're going lower. Do you want to be ruled by the radical left mob, or do you want to stand tall as free men and women in the greatest country on earth and keep it that way? And his other boss, Nancy Pelosi, she's a beauty. Or do you want to quickly rebuild the strongest economy in the history of the world, which we did? We're going to have to do it again. We built the greatest economy on earth, and now we're doing it again. You look at all the numbers, we're going to go over them. We built the greatest economy in the world. We rebuilt our military. We gave you the greatest tax cuts in history. Gave you the greatest regulation cuts. You had the greatest year in the history of your state last year. Greatest year. We have more than we ever had in 2016. And in 2016, nobody has ever seen a campaign with that kind of enthusiasm. And we have much more now. During a weekend spree where 78 people were shot and 18 died, that's worse than Afghanistan, which we're getting out of. That's worse than Iraq, which we're almost out of. That's worse than Syria, which we're out of, except we kept the oil, but that's okay. We don't have to talk about that. And you know, for those suburbs, I keep hearing about suburban women. By the way, our country is doing great. We have the pandemic. Should have never been allowed to happen by China. And by the way, look at this guy over here. Look at the size of that guy. Look at the size of that guy. And then after that, we'll go for another 4 years because, you know what, they spied on my campaign. We should get a redo of 4 years. If we had lost every vote, we would have won, but they didn't want to call it. It got later and later and later. Then this is the guy that likes to pretend he's Michael Jackson, right, with the dancing. His wife saved him, great embarrassment. Unemployment in Wisconsin had reached the lowest rate ever recorded. And we had created the single greatest economy in the history of the world. Our national economy was better than any economy that had ever happened before it. We're now witnessing the fastest, and you've seen this, right? The fastest economic recovery in the history of our country. Has fully recovered and is now at an all-time high. But, you know, I just noticed on television that NASDAQ, that's a big deal. NASDAQ hit an all-time record today, the highest price ever. And the others are right behind it. I mean, who would think we have a pandemic? I think we're way on the other side of the pandemic. We're doing great with vaccines and therapeutics and everything else. And your 401ks are great and your stocks are great. Right now, we have the greatest military we've ever had, the greatest equipment by far we've ever had. We will have next year the single greatest economy we've ever had. These guys are world-class chess players. So this monster is the worst thing that's happened in this world since 1917, right? We replaced probably the worst trade deal ever, NAFTA. The corn order, right, was the largest corn order in the history of ordering corn. It was the biggest. China ordered 2 days, the biggest order in the history of corn. Then they did, if you look at soybeans, it was the largest soybean order in history. And also beef, cattle, etc. So it just shows you how smart China is. And we moved the capital of Israel to Jerusalem. That's for the evangelicals. This is the most important election we ever had. We've got to stop these radical left maniacs. We want to make our post office strong. We want to be proud of it. I want to thank you very much. You've been my friends, my true friends. We will win, and we will make America great again. Thank you.